The war potential of an army is largely determined by investments it makes in its army. Among these investments, there are also spiritual needs that are as effective as meeting the military equipment and other material needs of the army. Among these intangible needs is the importance that the state attaches to security of life of soldiers in its army. The Russian Federation is unable to meet these moral needs of its soldiers. As you know, the Russian army is experiencing major problems in many areas. These problems are often stem from the situation on the front line. But another problem that Russia has with its army is that Russian young people who are recruited into the Russian army do not want to fight. The Russian Federation had developed a different method to solve this problem. The convicts would be released from their sentences in exchange for saving as soldiers. But this led to different problems. So what is this problem? Let's examine this problem and the latest developments. The Pioneer continues to report on the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine without slowing down. You can subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you do not miss the daily map analysis and agenda reports prepared by our team. You can also support our team preparing these reports by using the super thanks button below the video. The Pioneer reports. The so-called Storm Z troops were formed into response in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They were based on Wagner group Yevgeny Prigozhin's methods of recruiting prisoners with the promise of freedom. As you may recall, the Wagner group promised freedom to convicts in prison in Russia and conditioned that they would work for Wagner for a certain period of time. The main reason behind this was the interest of Russian citizens in the war. The government of the Russian Federation used the Wagner leaders' methods to create the Storm Z units of convicts in the Russian armed forces. However, the Russian government did not protect the Storm Z units as much as the Wagner group protected its own personnel, because the Russian government sent Storm Z troops to Ukraine to die. The Storm Z troops recently posted a video on social media calling on Russian government. In the video, the soldier speaking on behalf of Storm Z says the following: "The Kremlin is sending Storm Z members to die in plain sight. We don't want to die. All we want is freedom. They lured us with promise of freedom, but many of our friends died before they could reach this promise of freedom. The Russian army deliberately shelled our positions. Those who sent us here told us that we would fight to fight fascism. But now we realize that the real fascists are the ones who sent us here." The statements by the Storm Z came as a shock. Many users on social media commented that the decay and corruption within the army was revealed by this video. As you may recall, Russian propagandist Igor Girkin recently made a statement saying that the failed Russian offensive in the Avdiivka region had caused huge losses. It is claimed that the majority of soldiers of the Russian armed forces stationed in Avdiivka are members of the Storm Z units. Vladimir Putin, president of Russian Federation, is systematically killing criminals in his country. Although the Storm Z units came to the fore with this video, information about the problems experienced by the units has been shared with the public many times before. Since the beginning of the war, Storm Z members have repeatedly stated that the Russian military command has persecuted the unit. The vast majority of the soldiers in the unit endured this persecution for one reason only. The reason was freedom. One of the remarkable details about the Storm Z unit is that it was assigned to protect the senior personnel of the Russian army. For example, during an attack by Russian army, members of the unit would act before senior and experienced Russian soldiers. The vast majority of the Storm Z members who mobilized during this time were killed. The Storm Z also claimed that the only task of the barrier units was to kill the Storm Z members who wanted to retreat from the front line. The Storm Z units were also notorious for their lack of equipment and supplies. According to allegations, the Russian army did not provide equipment to Storm Z members sent to the front line. At the same time, these troops were also deprived of any food support. According to information from local sources, the majority of Russian soldiers who surrendered to Ukrainian army belonged to the Storm Z units. Unable to withstand the pressure and the persecution by Russian command, Storm Z members are choosing to surrender to Ukrainian troops at the first opportunity. There is a major lack of morale in Storm Z units. Since the beginning of the Ukrainian counteroffensive, Storm Z has lost many of its members. Russia has not taken any measures against this. It is reported that the Storm Z units may start mass mutinies in the coming days. It is also stated that it is possible for the Wagner group to regain its lost power in the Russian army with the Storm Z troops. While the great thaw in the Russian army is approaching step by step, the Ukrainian army continues its counterattack on the front line. In addition, Ukrainian partisan groups and Russian separatists continue to fight relentlessly. A very remarkable attack took place in Russian territory the other day. The attack was against a railroad line. You will remember the Russian city of Rostov from the coup attempt of the Wagner group. This region, located in the east of Ukraine, is of great importance for Russia. The borders of the region are the last position to which the Russian army can retreat in the event of withdrawal. A Russian separatist group recently attacked the railroad line between Novorossiysk and Rostov. With the attack of the separatist group, a big fire occurred near Krymsk on the line. The fire spread to a large area in a short time. Train service between Novorossiysk and Rostov had to stop for a long time due to the fire. Russian sources did not make any statement about the attacks in the region. According to local sources, the attack caused a prolonged panic in the region. In recent days, we have seen an increase in fires and explosions in Russia. The synergy created by the Ukrainian counteroffensive seems to have spilled over behind the front lines. It is possible to expect more sabotage attacks in the coming days. On the other hand, the Russian army's losses at the front are increasing. While the successful resistance of Ukrainian army continues at full speed, it is possible to speak of a major dissolution within the units of the Russian army. How this will affect the course of the war is a matter of great curiosity. What do you think? Do you think the Stormzy units will rebel? How will the video released by the Stormzy unit affect the Russian army? Do you think more Russian soldiers will surrender to the Ukrainian army? What measures will Putin, the leader of the Russian Federation, take in the face of this situation? Do you expect more sabotage attacks in Russia, and how will they affect the future of the war? Do you think the Russian army has started to unravel? Is there any possibility of new coup attempts? To what extent will the military unraveling change the fate of the war? We care about your views. Please share them with us.